In this video, we're going to talk about the reading section, answering detailed questions. I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get right into it. This is all about the Enhanced TOEFL IBT detailed questions, also known as factual information questions. Note, there are 4 levels of detailed questions: easy, medium, hard, and tricky. Keep in mind that the TOEFL IBT is not like other tests. On other tests, we'll read to learn and use what we learn to answer questions. On the TOEFL, it's different. They put a lot of extra information in the passages to trick you into picking wrong choices or to be overwhelmed and confused by what you've read. So I'm going to show you step by step how we're going to answer these questions in a different way so that you can answer them quickly and accurately. Now let's get into the procedures. To answer detailed questions quickly and accurately, follow these general procedures. Step 1. Identify the question correctly. Detailed questions typically ask about something specific from the passage. Step 2. Understand what the question is asking about. Rephrase the question if necessary. As I've said before, the TOEFL IBT is designed to create confusion. Sometimes the detailed questions are long and they're written in a way that is very confusing. When you have that situation, what you want to do is rephrase the question to a direct question. Direct questions typically begin with who, what, where, when, which, how, or why. And so when you're reading the question, you say, what is the main topic? What's it asking about it? And just turn it into a direct question. All right, let's continue. Step 3, determine the topic of the question. Step 4, use the main topic of the question to find the related sentence or sentences in the passage. Step 5, read only the sentence or sentences directly related to the topic of the question. Step 6, eliminate any choice with information that is either not mentioned in the passage or has a different meaning from a related sentence in the passage. Pro tip: eliminate the 2 choices that are obviously wrong first. Then remove the choice that is less like what is stated in the passage, pick the remaining choice, and move on. Note: credited choices will either be a loose paraphrase of the related sentence in the passage or may make no sense. That's right, sometimes the credited answer makes no sense, it just isn't wrong. This test is always trying to get you to pick the wrong choice. Again, wrong choices are information that is not mentioned in the passage, even if it's true in the real world. If it's not mentioned in the passage, it's wrong. Or choices that have a very different meaning from the information that is related in the passage. Now let's look at some questions and see exactly how we do this step by step. As usual, the questions in this video come directly from the TOEFL IBT Practice Test 1 and Practice Test 2. Remember, when preparing for your TOEFL IBT, use only official, genuine TOEFL IBT practice tests. Check the links in the description for more practice tests. Here we are in Practice Test 2. This is Task 2, read an email. As you can see, question number 11 is a detailed question asking about something specific from the passage. This is an example of an easy detailed question. So let's follow the procedures. Step 1, identifying the question. It's asking what is the earliest time of day that the technician will arrive. Step 2, determine what the question is asking about. It's asking about the earliest time of day. And what is it asking about that? It's asking when the technician will arrive. Step number 3, determine the topic of the question. And what is this question asking about? The earliest time of day the technician will arrive. What should we be looking for in the passage? The question is asking about the time of day, but it's really asking about when the technician will arrive. So the word we're looking for is technician. And that leads us to step number 4, where we're going to use our keyword to find the related information in the passage. We're looking for the word technician. Because it's such a short passage, the word is easy to find. Now, what does this sentence say about the earliest time the technician will arrive? Between 1 and 3 p.m. Well, the earliest time, of course, is 1 p.m. Now, all that's left is to look at our choices and eliminate the 3 choices that are not like the information in the passage. We can eliminate A, B, and D, and of course, choice C is 1 p.m. Therefore, choice C is the answer. Now, I know what you're saying. Mister, that was way too easy. I'm not a child. I can do this. ETS has a way of tricking us, even with the easy questions. So let's ramp it up and see an example of one that is easy, but a little more challenging. Let's look at question number 18. First thing we're going to do is identify the question type. Why did scientists put colored marks on animals' bodies? It is asking about something specific from the passage, and therefore it is a detailed question. Now, what is the question asking about? It's asking, why did scientists put colored marks on animals' bodies? This is a very direct question, so it does not have to be rephrased or reworded. Now let's find out what the topic is. What will we look for in our passage? It's asking about scientists, but what about them? Why do scientists put colored marks on animals' bodies? So it's about the colored marks. Let's go to our passage and see if we can find the sentence that is directly related to this question. Using our scanning skills, we're looking for the words colored mark. And you'll find it here. Now the question was asking why scientists put colored marks on animals' bodies. Is this sentence directly related to the question? The sentence reads, they measured this by the mirror test, which involved putting a colored mark on an ape's body and then showing the ape its reflection in a mirror. Now, although it doesn't use the exact words from the question, it is talking about the same main topic. And therefore, we know that we're in the right place. But is this enough information? Does this sentence say why the scientists put the colored mark on an animal's body? It doesn't. And so therefore we must read the related sentence. Like I said, easy, but not as easy as the first question. Remember that sentences come in pairs. So what does this paragraph say about putting colored marks on the animal's body? The next sentence gives you the information. If the ape tried to remove the mark on its own body, the scientists knew that the ape was recognizing its reflection. So what's the main idea here? If the ape tried to remove the mark, the ape was recognizing its reflection. This is our clue. It's the main idea. Now let's look at our choices and eliminate choices that are different from what's stated in the passage or not mentioned at all. And back to our choices, choice A states, it made it possible to track the animal's movements. What is this choice about? Tracking animals' movements. That is not what our clue was about. Our clue was about the animal recognizing itself. So choice A is not possible. And choice B, what is the main idea here? It helped them to determine whether the animals recognize themselves. Well, that's similar to the information in the passage. So for choice B, I'm going to say possible and move on. Choice C, what does it talk about? It made it easier to tell the animals apart. Well, there was nothing about using the mark to tell the animals apart, so choice C also is not possible. And what about choice D? It showed whether some animals can detect color differences. No, our passage talked about the animal recognizing itself, and therefore choice D also is not possible. And this leaves us with choice B as the best answer. All right, so this was an easy question, but not really that easy. What does make it easy is following the procedures. The procedures keep you on track. It prevents you from reading too much, getting confused, and being tricked into picking wrong choices. Now let's move on to medium level questions, and following the procedures, you'll see that you can answer these questions quickly and accurately. This question is from Test 1, Module 2. It is a detailed question. How do we know? It reads, why do customers go to the bakery stall early? It's asking about something specific from the passage. However, you'll notice that all the choices begin with the word to, and if you recall from the rhetorical purpose question, all the choices begin with the word to. But this one's different because it's not asking about the author's purpose or the general meaning of a paragraph. It's asking about something specific, and that makes it a medium difficulty question because it's a little more difficult to recognize what kind of question it is. But you can see that it's asking about something specific from the passage. Now let's see, what is the question asking about? The question asks, why do customers go to the bakery stall? What is the main topic of the question? Is it customers or bakery stall? Again, this is a medium difficulty question. So let's go through the procedures that will help you to answer this question quickly and accurately. If you choose the word customers as your keyword, let's go to our passage and see if we can find this word. In this related passage, let's scan quickly looking for the word customers. And you find it here. But is this sentence talking about the bakery stall? Our sentence reads, their stall is always bustling with customers eager to buy fresh, pesticide-free vegetables from the welcoming staff. Vegetables are not baked goods, so this sentence does not match our question. So let's switch to the other phrase that we're looking for, and that is bakery stall. Do you find bakery stall? Easily. In the next paragraph, it states clearly, don't miss the bakery stall. What else does the sentence say about the bakery stall? Get there early for the best bread and pastries, including gluten-free and vegan options. Now let's take our clue and go to our choices and eliminate those that are different from what's stated in the passage or not mentioned at all. Choice A states to get free samples given in the mornings. Now, if you've ever been to a farmer's market, they often give free samples in the morning. However, in this case, it's not stated at all, and therefore choice A is not possible. What about choice B? To get freshly baked bread and pastries before they are gone. This is almost exactly what was stated in the passage, and therefore choice B is possible. Notice that I didn't say that's right and just pick that choice. I'm not looking for the right answer, because in the hard questions, there may not be a right answer, and I don't want to get tricked into picking something that is just there to fool me. Now, choice B is possible. Let's move on to choice C. Choice C states to meet the famous baker. Well, there was no mention of meeting a famous baker, so choice C also is not possible. And what about choice D? To take advantage of early morning discounts. Wait a minute. Did they say something about that? No, they talked about getting freshly baked bread and pastries, and therefore choice D, having not been mentioned, is not possible. This leaves choice B as the best answer. Okay, before I move on, I just want to say that on the actual test, this will be much easier for you because on the real test, they will have the passage on one side of the screen and the question on the other side of the screen. So it'll be side by side. It'll be much easier to put your finger on what you're looking for and compare the two. Remember that the process of elimination is so powerful because we are more certain of what is wrong than we are of what is correct. And even though you're looking for the right answer, eliminating wrong choices is far more effective. Now, when you're eliminating, I want you to eliminate two choices that are obviously wrong first. Now, on the easy ones and medium ones, as you can see, 3 of the choices are likely to be very wrong. And then the remaining choice is almost what was stated in the passage. Not always, but very often. However, we won't always have easy and medium questions. You're going to have hard level questions, and the hard level questions are those that don't state things directly and they have information in the passage that is one of the choices, but it doesn't match. Oh, let me just show you some examples. Take a look. Now this is test 2, module 1, question number 17. And the first thing you'll notice about question 17 is that both the question and the choices are quite long. This is designed to intimidate you, to think that this question is going to take too long to answer, and all of that extra thinking is not only demoralizing you, but wasting your time. When you see a long question, just remember, they can't make the English harder, so they have to make it psychologically more difficult. When they try to make something look more difficult, know that it's actually easier than it looks. And now let's just follow the procedures. Step 1, we must identify the question type. Our question reads, in which of the following situations can sports have an especially negative impact on social integration? This question holds a lot of vocabulary words that may be intimidating, and that's another part of trying to make a question seem more difficult than it is. But let's break it down. What's the question asking about? Following situations. What about it? Can sports have an especially negative impact on social integration? So what's it really about? Sports. And what about them? Them having a negative impact on social integration. All right, now we have a pretty good idea of what the question is asking. What are we going to look for in the passage? The object of this question is social integration. Now that we know what we're looking for, let's go to our passage and find these words. We're looking for the words social integration. I find this phrase here. Now the question is asking about sports having a negative impact on social integration. Does this sentence talk about that? It says that sports can promote social integration by bridging gaps between people of various backgrounds. That's not a negative impact. So let's look again for the words social integration. In our next paragraph we find it here. Now let's determine if our sentence is directly related to our question. Our sentence reads, however, the impact of sports on social integration is not without challenges. Well, it is about sports, it's about social integration, and the words not without challenges does indicate that there is some negativity. Now this sentence by itself does not give us enough information, and so we'll read the related sentence. And the related sentence reads, competitive environments can sometimes exacerbate social tensions, particularly when favoritism or exclusionary practices are present. Wow, are there any vocabulary words in this sentence that you don't know? How about competitive environments and exacerbate tensions, particularly favoritism, exclusionary, and practices? You see, for the TOEFL to make things harder, they make it more intimidating. They put a lot of extra words and intimidating vocabulary in the sentences to make you feel like you can't answer the question. But let's see if we can answer it anyway with just the general idea. What is this sentence saying about the negativity of sports? It says competitive environments can sometimes exacerbate. I don't know what this word means, but let's say it's negative. Can have a negative impact, and particularly when favoritism or exclusionary practices are present. Now, maybe you know what these words mean, and maybe you don't. Let's look at our choices and see if we can eliminate something that is different from what's stated in the passage or not mentioned, even if we don't know all the vocabulary words. What about choice A? When people from different ethnicities are brought together. Well, this is obviously something that's happening, but does it say that directly? No, it's not mentioned in the passage. So A is not possible. What about choice B? When participants are unreasonably strict about the rules of competition. Well, our sentence wasn't about the rules of competition. And so this is not mentioned in our passage, and therefore choice B is not possible. What about choice C? When the social environment is not favorable for competition. Now, they do say something about social environment and favorable and competition. You know what? I'm not going to go back and reread everything. I'm just going to say C is I don't know and move on to choice D. And choice D states when social tensions are heightened by favoring or excluding certain participants. Choice D also has information that's mentioned in our passage. So, as you can see, it was easy to eliminate choice A and B, which is your first priority, to eliminate two choices that are obviously wrong, and you're going to find this consistent throughout the test. For each question, there will be two choices that are obviously wrong, leaving you with two choices that are possible. Once you have two choices that are possible, I want you to eliminate one choice that is less like what was stated in the passage. Let's take a look again at our sentence. Our clue is talking about competitive environments that sometimes do something bad and create social tensions. And the main point of our sentence is favoritism and exclusionary practices are present. Let's take a look at our choices one more time. Now we've already eliminated choices A and B, and between choices C and D, which one is less like the main idea of our clue in the passage? Choice C is about social environments not being favorable to competition. That's not the main idea. But what about choice D? Social tensions heightened by favoring or excluding certain participants. Yes, that is more like what was stated in our clue, and therefore you can eliminate choice C and pick choice D with confidence. Yes, as you can see, to make questions harder, it's just more intimidating. The questions are longer, your choices are longer, and there's a lot more vocabulary words being thrown at you to overwhelm you and to cause panic. Don't go out and start reading vocabulary lists thinking that you're going to do that to overcome the problems on the test. There are over 750,000 words in the English language. You do not know which of those words that you don't know will be on the next test. So studying even 400,000 words for the next test will not help you. Now, let's take a look at one more. It's a tricky question, and I want to show you how tricky questions can be overwhelming and take a little more time. But let's go ahead and see how it works, because I do want you to get the highest, most respectable score on your TOEFL IBT. Here we are in Test 2, Mod 2, question number 18. And this is a tricky question, but not for the reasons that you might think. Take a look at what this question is asking. What connection are researchers exploring regarding the microbiome? This is a detailed question because it's asking about something specific from the passage. Now, the way we've been working these questions is to say, what is the question asking about? In this case, it's the connection. And what about the connection? It's the connection that researchers are exploring regarding the microbiome. But what would you go into the passage and look for? Likely you're thinking microbiome. So let's go to our passage and look for the word microbiome. Okay, title aside, but where do we find the word microbiome in this passage? I find it here. Now, if you read the sentence containing this word, it states recent studies show that the microbiome can be influenced by diet, lifestyle, and medication. Well, this one sentence doesn't help us to answer the question of a connection that researchers are making with the microbiome. So, as we have in the past, read the related sentence. And the related sentence states, antibiotics, while effective against harmful bacteria, can disrupt the balance of beneficial microbes. Again, we still don't have enough information. And this is different than the other questions because typically you will have to read one or two sentences. But now you've got to read more than that. If we look at the next sentence, This disruption can lead to health issues like digestive problems and weakened immunity. We're 3 sentences in and we still don't see a connection. And now you're thinking that maybe the procedures don't work and you're going to have to revert back to the old ways of reading the entire passage. And you start panicking and you look for other information that's related and you see this: microbiome, also microbiome, and microbiome. So what should you read? Should you read the entire rest of the passage? Now, before you get into reading everything, keep in mind that this is the end of the test. You have only 1 or 2 minutes left, and you still have 3 questions, including this one. This question is designed to stop you, steal your time, and not only would you not be able to answer this question, but you also miss the remaining 2, which means that you miss a minimum of 3 questions. This is by design to make you read too much and miss points and have to test again. Now, rather than reading everything, let's take a look at this question again and see if we can zoom into just the part of the passage where it's making a connection with the microbiome. Let's take a look. In order to determine which sentence we should read with the words microbiome, let's see what other words can we look for that are in connection with this word. We have the words connection and researchers. Let's look for a sentence that has the words connection, researchers, and microbiome. Back at our passage, I've underlined the words microbiome, and we can look for our words researchers and connection. In our first sentence, do we have anything about that? No. In our next sentence, we have both the words researchers and connection along with microbiome. We can look at this sentence to see what the general meaning is. And the sentence states, researchers are exploring the connection between the microbiome and mental health. So this sentence is a good candidate for the clue. Let's take a look at the other 2 sentences and see if they're related. The next sentence says that maintaining a healthy microbiome involves eating a varied diet rich in fiber, reducing stress, and avoiding unnecessary antibiotics. And the last sentence says, as understanding of the microbiome grows, it may lead to breakthroughs in treating diseases and improving health. Still, it looks like the second sentence is the one that is directly related to our question. So let's take a look at our choices and see what we can eliminate. Remember, the sentence says that researchers are exploring the connection between the microbiome and mental health. Choice A states the link between gut bacteria and immunity. Again, we're talking about mental health, so it wouldn't be about immunity. Choice A is not possible. What about choice B, the role of fungi in mood regulation? There was nothing about fungi, and does mood regulation have to do with mental health? If you're not sure, leave it. But if you think it's wrong, according to the rules, eliminate. What about choice C, the role of viruses in digestion? It's really about mental health, not about viruses and digestion. What about D, the link between gut bacteria and mental health? Now, I'm not sure. Let's check the passage one more time to see if D is possible. Now, our clue is about the connection between the microbiome and mental health, but our choice is talking about the gut bacteria. There's no mention of gut bacteria in this sentence. However, when we look at the related sentence, the following sentence, what does it say? Certain gut bacteria produce neurotransmitters affecting brain function. These 2 sentences together make choice D the most likely answer. Are you very confident that choice D is the right answer? Again, this makes it a tricky question because although you've gone through the extra work and spent a lot of time answering this question, we still are not certain that the credited answer is the right one, and this is by design. We don't want to fall into their trap. Learn the procedures and rules and apply the procedures and rules, you will easily be able to answer 95% of the questions quickly and accurately. It isn't about getting 100% right. It's about passing this crazy test, getting your license or accepted to a prestigious university, and moving on with your life. 95% puts you in the top 1 percentile of test takers, and that's good enough. That's it for this video. Keep working and don't study too hard. Remember, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. And if you're having difficulty, be sure to contact me. I am here to help you pass your TOEFL IBT.